Good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to another Nerd Nation podcast. And here is the name of this particular podcast is called I've Got a Bad Feeling About This, because this is Star Wars, baby. And I've got a bad feeling about these fucking Star Wars fucking sequels. And we're going to be fucking talking about that shit, because we're going to be talking everything Star Wars sequels here. Whether we like them, hate them, how they came about, what's going to be happening afterwards, are they going to be filling in any of the gaps, all of this shit and then some. Okay, we have a quadrilogy of people here, including myself. We have the one and only boss man Gary. Welcome to the stream. He's an old friend of mine from our YouTube communities, and he loves Star Wars as well as Star Trek, and he'll be joining us for those podcasts one day. Welcome to the stream, Gary.
Hello.
Thank you very much. We have a returning guest, my man, my old partner in crime, my fucking brother from another mother, Buck Crimes, I also call him Dixie Comic, but also known as Dixie. Hello, Dixie. How you doing, mate?
Hey, what's up?
Very good. You got to keep an eye on Dixie, by the way. Never not keep an eye on him. All right, and finally, oh, by the way, Dixie's missus in the background. Hello, Dixie's missus.
Hello.
All right. And finally, we have my fucking good mate, my fucking partner in crime, and all of this shit. We usually fucking do this shit together. We are stuck to the fucking hip. We were born together. Cousin Cheeto, say hello to everyone, my friend.
Well, I believe that this will be a good discussion from a certain point of view.
Yes. And by the way, that will be the name of the stream next week, which is why I kind of fluffed my lines at the beginning of this podcast, because I was trying to incorporate the fact that we're only going to be calling this fucking podcast I've Got a Bad Feeling About This one time and one time only. And then we're going to go back to what we originally decided to call this podcast, which is A Certain Point of View, which is a much better name. Anyway, back to the subject matter. We're going to be talking about the sequels, and I want to possibly start off with one of the new guys here. So I'm going to start off with Gary. Now, Gary has got several things to talk about regarding the sequels. It's actually one of his favorite movies is one of the Star Wars sequels. Shock fucking horror, I know. But maybe Gary can explain himself. Gary, my friend, what you got to say about the Star Wars sequels, just generally, mate? If you want to bring up anything, please do.
Well, I think they were the first Star Wars movies we got since the prequels. It were the remasters after the sequels, the prequels. So I'm trying to remember if they were after or before. But yeah, they were the first new Star Wars films we got. It was just good to see new Star Wars content out there, because George Lucas had basically just sitting on the IP for ages, and then Disney bought him off him when he bought LucasArts, and then said, right, we're going to put a new trilogy in and stuff like this. And he was just like, oh, that's interesting. And then it was J.J. Abrams was the one behind it all, but he's going to direct the first one, and then the other two are going to be the other directors. So it was exciting. It was like the original trilogy, because the original trilogy were directed by 3 different directors. So I think it brought some vibrancy to a series that had been flailing a little bit, because the prequels had sort of cheesed everyone off a little bit.
Yeah, they did. I mean, in my opinion, though, they went from one extreme to the other, from less familiarity, which is what the prequels brought, to over familiarity, which in my opinion is what the sequels brought. But we can go into that a little bit later. But Crimes, Star Wars sequels, just generally in a nutshell right now, before we delve into more shit. What do you think of them?
The prequels were okay. The sequels were all right, but they tried to, I think, add a little too much to it. They really didn't follow the lore very well. Of course, then again, Disney had bought LucasArts and kind of pretty much threw all the extended universe out. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was annoying. I mean, for me, I think it was really going to be difficult for them to incorporate any of the extended universe into movie. But the fact that they threw it all out I mean, just got rid of all of it and never even, and only until maybe in the latter films and when it came to just trying to come up with some ideas that they would go through it. Because you remember what Kathleen Kennedy once said, that she had no knowledge when it came to Star Wars. When there was a whole fucking bunch of knowledge regarding Star Wars. I mean, she just totally pulled that lie out of her ass. Nevertheless, they had so much shit to go with and they didn't use any of it. I mean, it was so stupid. What was Disney thinking? Cousin Cheeto.
Just to go back on what you guys were saying about the extended lore and the extended content or whatever extended universe, whatever you call it, the EU. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. When Disney first came out, they really just said that, I mean, it's not canon until it is. Because remember, the Clone Wars was not canon when they wiped everything away, and then it became canon again. So I mean, I think it was a smart move on their part to kind of rein everything in. I'm not saying get rid of all the extended universe and everything like that. I mean, there's definitely great stuff in there, but I mean, it's kind of a smart move to rein everything in my opinion, just because there's so much. And if you have to work around all that extended universe lore, then you almost kind of tie your hands, and then you have to play, and you have to, how do I put this? You have to, you kind of have to go to a whole new era just to do anything, because you don't want to be tied down by all this lore. So I kind of agree with them, basically saying that it's not canon until it is. And that's, as I said, that's like how the Clone Wars worked. That's how there was other stuff that they brought back into canon, but it was by reference. So I don't know. I know there's a lot of pissed off fans out there who like a lot of the extended lore, but that also doesn't mean that stuff is still not good. It's still there. And if you consider it canon, it can be your head canon. That's just my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
I just want to quickly get to some of the comments here. Jagjit Wright said, The Last Jedi should have had more of Luke Skywalker. The sequels kind of ruined the whole concept of Star Wars. I agree. It was retreading with the sequels. It was too much familiarity. I do appreciate the prequels in the sense that they're all different. When it comes to 1 to 6, or maybe 3 and maybe 4 and 6 are a bit similar, but nevertheless, there's a lot of differences between the movies. When you're watching the sequels, it's like, shit, we've been here before, we've done this before, what the fuck? What this big celebration? When I watch episode 6 now, this big celebration at the end is going to feel pointless. And I've always felt at the beginning of Force Awakens, it's like, how the fuck did all this shit happen? I mean, at least there is a continuation from 3 to 4. You understand it. It makes sense. Yeah. What the fuck happened between 6 and 7 for them to be fucking singing with fucking Ewoks and throwing firework parties all over the universe, to them having a first order, they're already taking over the universe again and blowing the shit up of everything? Like, ridiculous. Like, there's so much missing, and which hasn't been explored and needs to be explored, needs to be fleshed out. It's annoying. I really feel I feel like an empty vessel watching this shit. And then obviously we got Rian Johnson doing his bollocks, which I'll get onto a little bit later. I'm not sure if any of you guys feel the same way I do regarding this particular issue. Like, there's a gap between 6 and 7 that needs to be filled and explained, and it hasn't been explained. We just go straight into the First Order. Like, what the fuck? Did no one else feel this?
You might have.
What do you mean? You wanted some more backstory of how the First Order came to be?
Well, I wanted a proper, like, I don't know what I want yet when it comes to this particular thing, because it's fucking Disney giving us. But what they gave us wasn't satisfactory to me. What you did decide to give me, I didn't fucking appreciate and like. So I want them to fucking explain how we have a goddamn new fucking shit going on. And I wanted that explained from the beginning of the 7th movie. Not just jump into it like, what the hell? Like, why are we here? Why are we here? It just felt so stupid. And what explanation we kind of got in Last Jedi to a degree wasn't good enough. It was bollocks. With Kylo Ren turning the dark side. Okay, fine. Kylo Ren turns to the dark side because Luke tried to kill him. Great. Now, how the fuck did you get this massive army? You know what I mean? It's like none of this just makes any sense. It's just so stupid. It's just it's awful.
Well, the thing is also, whenever the rebellion destroyed the first Death Star, or I'm sorry, the second Death Star, it didn't wipe out the entire Empire. If you're going by the books, the Empire is very vast. And
no, I agree. No, I agree. We saw a lot of that in The Mandalorian.
A little more background on that, though, with the new movies, the bigger one, or the sequels. What is it, 6, 7, or 8, or 7, 8, 9?
7, 8, 9.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they would have, filled in a little bit more of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, can I ask you a question? Would you rather that they adapted the Thor trilogy?
Because
I mean, because that's the one that's expanded, like sequel to Star Wars, quote unquote, in the books.
No.
That happens.
We need a whole new enemy, like the Thrawn trilogy.
What the Thor trilogy is.
No, but Thrawn is still a part of the Empire. No, nothing Empire related. It needed to be Yu Zhong Vong, something along that particular lines.
Or like the Dark Sun cartel.
Yeah, that too. But it didn't have to be so grandiose. It could have been a bit more grounded as well. It could have been a bit more seedy, but then we're asking Disney to do this sort of shit. It's weird in a way. These sequels were never required. And that's the funny thing. Like, we had an ending with episode 6, and you want a continuation of that, then you better make it worthy. And it wasn't. I just want to actually ask you, Bossman, what was your favorite Star Wars film?
Mine, Lost Jedi.
You somebody had to like it, I guess. I know a few people did.
No, as I said, I'll explain when we get there. But
no. Fair enough. I'm just curious because that film, it really is Marmite, mate. That film is beyond Marmite. You either fucking love it or you hate it. And there's a lot of people, mainly film critics, who really do like it. And people are. I'm kind of surprised liked it. Considering. If you don't mind, we're talking about Last Jedi here. Considering, I felt Rian Johnson wasn't taking the film anywhere, and he was trying to establish stuff in the second film, which was way off from the first movie. He wanted to establish his own shit, whilst not doing a service to J.J. Abrams by expanding what he'd done. And that I had a problem with that. The humor was awful. That Marvel humor just did not work in this universe. Certain characters got belittled, like General Hux. I mean, he became an absolute joke of a character because of this movie. But I'll tell you, the one person who came out of this film really great in Last Jedi, and it wasn't Luke Skywalker, it was Kylo Ren. Because in Force Awakens, people were making fun of Kylo Ren being a fucking emo warrior and all that sort of shit, and being a dickhead, being a fucking incel and all that sort of stuff. But after Last Jedi, he became probably arguably the best new character from the trilogy. So that was a good thing. But Canto Bite was bollocks. I mean, did you appreciate all these sort of things? I mean, what did you like about it, boss man? I need to know.
Well, we could go to that when we talk about the first one, because I reckon we should do it in order. So we should talk about The Force Awakens first, because then I can go into Mighty Beyond.
Okay, fine. I mean, I don't know I'll go with you, Buck Crime. What would you like to say about The Force Awakens?
Hey,
Ginger.
It was an okay continuation of the story. I wish it would have went in a slightly different, more towards the novels, but
Say again.
I found it, personally, I'm sorry. This is Dixie's Misses. This is I found it to be a sort of a clone of A New Hope, honestly, because you have the hero on a desert planet, barely scraping by. She escapes. It's like she escapes on the Millennium Falcon, no less.
Yeah.
And is working to stop a world-destroying weapon. Only in this case, it's actually a planet whose power source is the nearby sun that's slowly sucking the life out of, and it can destroy more than one planet at a time. I mean, that's basically what it like throws into, and then on top of that, like the old man that's guiding the new hero gets killed by someone that he cared about at one point. You know, it's just like
Han Solo was Ben Kenobi. I just realized, yeah. Yeah.
Like literally,
yeah.
A New Hope.
Yeah. Oh my god. I just realized that as well. Fucking hell. Oh my god, yeah. Awful. I mean, like you just like
it was fun to watch. Make no mistake, I enjoyed watching it, but the whole time I'm like, I'm watching a rip of A New Hope.
This is why it bugs me that when it comes to the powers that be, yeah, they need to know that you got to have certain people in charge who are actual fans of this shit. You know, they understand the bigger picture of making a fucking buck, but you don't want to fucking alienate Star Wars fans. They've been alienated enough as it is, and they needed to fucking come out with a home run with this movie, with Episode 7, and they failed spectacularly. I don't think this is a good film at all. Too fucking familiar, thrown in at the beginning of this movie, not knowing what the fuck has happened for the last 40 years. You know, it's just absolute shit. Didn't fucking like it. I'm not going to talk about that fucking movie anymore. Cousin Cheeto, what do you want to say about fucking Force Awakens?
I didn't mind it. I thought it was okay. I mean, I know it was a ripoff, and I'm a big Trek fan, so it's like, I know J.J. Abrams. As soon as they brought him on board for The Force Awakens, I'm like, I knew exactly what I was walking into, because 2009 Star Trek and Star Trek Into Darkness. Like, I knew exactly what I was walking into. So I'm like, okay, so it's going to be a lot of familiar. They're going to play it safe because it's Disney's first romp with Star Wars. Christine Kennedy was unproven at that time, which she still has yet to be proven anything other
Kathleen
than...
Kennedy.
Or Kathleen Kennedy, whatever. I don't remember. Caddy, whatever.
Okay.
Caddy. Anyway, so and I didn't mind it. I mean, I know it was a ripoff. You know, just I liked Rey a little bit. I know that everyone says, "Oh, she's a Mary Sue." Well,
I like Rey.
I like Rey too. My favorite character out of this whole trilogy, and it started in this movie here, was Poe Dameron. I'm not gonna lie, the fighter pilot, smartass, like, and I know he doesn't get enough screen time or justice in any of these movies, to be honest. But I just, from the get-go, you know, when they're on that first planet and Kylo's like, you know, sitting there trying to interrogate him and on the planet, not on the ship, and you know, just Poe's smartass. He's just like, the first words out of his mouth are, "So who talks first? You talk first, or I talk first? Because I don't know how this normally goes." You know, like, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Poe Dameron was and still is my favorite character. And honestly, I wouldn't have minded like a solo spin-off movie for Poe Dameron. Maybe just don't call it Poe, a Star Wars story. You know, like, I mean, you know, call it something a little more creative than that. But even, I mean, here's the thing about Harrison Ford's death in The Force Awakens. By the way, spoilers for like a 5-year-old movie. I mean, Harrison Ford wanted to be killed off. Now, that's not to say that what's his nuts Abrams wouldn't have done that anyway, but Harrison Ford wanted to be killed off in the first movie. So, I mean, yeah, it's a ripoff of A New Hope, but it's also like it was also kind of right there because Harrison Ford wanted to be killed off.
He still came back for a cameo, regardless. So, anyway, Boss Man, what you got to say?
I thought it was an interesting film to get us into the sequel because a lot of people, when they complained about the prequel, said that they didn't really feel like Star Wars. So I think what J.J. Abrams did was a lot like he did with Star Trek, was take it back to its origins. So he took the crew of the Enterprise back to their origins of like exploring space and doing these space adventures. He did the same thing with Star Wars, which he took it backwards and basically had this new empire ability, this new empire thing, you know, the First Order. There's a lot of things that I liked about the about the Force Awakens. Like, for example, I love the design of Kylo Ren's sword because usually the lightsabers are usually like the straight ones, but he has that like weird sort of like King Arthur knight thing. I really like that. I also really like the fact that like he is not so sure of himself and he keeps on talking to the little hat, the Vader mask. It's like, well, where did he get that? Didn't Luke burn that on Endor at the end of Jedi? And stuff like that. So there's questions like that, and also like I just love the fact that the First Order are all like really, like they're all like insecure about themselves, like because like what's his name? Holdo, of his name is Dylan Hooks is like unsure of himself. So like I like that, but I agree with a lot of things you were saying that it is basically a New Hope with the fresh clothes paint. But I thought it did it well. If it did poorly, I would say so. But I thought it did it well.
Sorry, I did have something else to say. Just it slipped my mind. Okay, we'll go. If it does come back into my brain, I will bring it up. So now we're going to go on to The Last Jedi.
I just wanted to throw a little.
Oh, sorry, Polly, please.
What I don't understand is why couldn't they do a Shadows of the Empire movie instead of going to the sequel or the 5, 6, and 7, not 7, 8, and 9. Sorry. Yeah, why couldn't they do like a Shadows of the Empire? I don't know if you guys know much about that one.
I do. I played the game on N64.
Yep. I've read the novel too, which is really good.
I was about to say I think he's more talking about the novels than.
Well, things like that are anthology films, aren't they? And so they're more going to fit into the brackets of Rogue One and Solo than an actual sequel. And plus, Shadow of the Empire is in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, so it's not technically a sequel when it comes to these films. I mean, they could have used a story and maybe set it after Empire Strikes Back, like Return of the Jedi, but other than that, I can understand them not using it. They're gonna have to create new characters as well. And actually, this is what was on my mind, by the way, regarding Force Awakens and just generally all the 3 films. But the main cast, Poe, Finn, Rey, Kylo, even Maz Kanata and Hux and stuff. I like all of these guys, by the way. I want to make that very clear. I think these are all great characters. I was really upset with how Hux was used, and he kind of redeemed himself to a little bit in The Rise of Skywalker. But nevertheless, I thought all the characters in the sequels are pretty good. I just thought the films were shit. It's a shame, It's a bit like, I thought Brandon Routh and what's his name, Henry Cavill, a great Superman. But nevertheless, I think the films they were in were absolute fucking shit. You see where I'm coming from? So that's how I feel about it. I do like the characters. It's a shame that what they were put in wasn't that great, and how they were used wasn't that great.
I don't see that because I like Superman Returns and Man of Steel. So fuck you.
Yeah, but that's you, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's always been you. Nevertheless, I'm dying to go on about the fucking about The Last Jedi now. I want to hear Bossman's thoughts there. I'm totally intrigued. Let it go, Bossman. Tell me why you like the fucking Last Jedi.
Okay. No, I think there's a story when the Jedi, the Return of the Jedi, where apparently David Lynch was going to direct it. And that's what this felt like. It felt like David Lynch has directed the Star Wars films. Because a lot of really Bumwellian bizarre images. Like the one where she's like going into that little dream and then there's like that hole in mirrors and she sees herself reflected and you're smashing stuff like that. I really like that. I also like the fact that not all the conflicts are sorted out by just swinging a lightsaber. Like they have to like the bit where Luke Skywalker to fight the entire force and help out what's happening with the New Resistance. He has to go down and project himself onto that planet. And like he has to like fight Kylo Ren, and Kylo Ren is just like so angry. He's not thinking like, how's he here? Why is he here? Have you noticed that there's no footsteps in the ground and stuff like that? There's still you don't really think about until later. Like, oh, there weren't any footsteps. There were that he's not actually there. It's like, and it's one of those things where you can actually see that the fact that he's so angry, he's so bent up over what happened and stuff like that. I like that. I also like the fact that, Luke Skywalker is this bitter old man. Like, he tried to do, what the Jedi did, but he kids the same problems that they did, because he talks about how arrogant the Jedi were. And it's something that we've never seen before, where somebody who's a Jedi themselves is criticizing the Jedi Order and the way they went about things. Because you look at the prequels, the Jedi Order were that. They were arrogant. They were like, we're going to be here together, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do that. And that's how, Palpatine took over, because he was right under their noses, and they didn't even notice it at all. I mean, I consider that as bad writing, but, like, it's still a point that in those films, they reference the fact that they were so arrogant they couldn't see beyond that. And that's something that I've never seen before, where they address, like, the themes of all the Star Wars films into one film. Also, I like the fact that we got the fact that Finn wasn't so much of a bitch this time, because he actually got to do something. He actually got to fight. What's the name now? The one played by the Game of Thrones last. I can't remember the name of the character. Sorry. And when he signs his other things, and she just looks at him, and she has that look of fear. And then,
Captain Phasma.
Yeah. That was a great scene. I just love the fact that a Jedi can be anybody, and that's just something that I hate. We're going to get to that Rise of Skywalker takes away, that the fact that a Jedi, a really super powerful Jedi, can be anybody. Like the fact at the end of the Last Jedi, there's that little kid who's using the Force to have the mop brush his little area. It's just like, oh, he could be a Jedi, so then anybody could be a Jedi. So therefore, there is no Last Jedi, because there's always could be anybody coming from anywhere who could be the next guy or the next girl. And that's something I liked about it. It's something that's a positive message than the negative message of the last two films, where you have to be someone's cousin, uncle, second cousin, 3 times removed step hand. Stop it. No, you can just be anybody, and that's what the Jedi is about. End. Sorry.
No, I see all of that. I do understand where you're coming from with a lot of that. It does make sense, but it just didn't work for me, boss man. Like the scene at the end of the film with him fighting all those people. It was clever, maybe on paper, but how it panned out, I just thought it was stupid. Why didn't he go there? And it just didn't feel right for me. And just the way they. I'm sure more things will come to mind, but I think the other thing is as well is that Rian Johnson didn't continue with what J.J. Abrams started, and what Rian Johnson ended wasn't continued with what J.J. Abrams then started himself in the third one. So it was a fucking hodgepodge of bollocks. It was all over the fucking place by this film. And unfortunately, the ending of this movie the legacy of this movie wasn't continued in the third film. I mean, this film was pretty much forgotten about because of the third movie. I mean, you could watch episode 1 and through without having to watch episode 2. It's just pointless.
But I think that's because Disney got scared of the reaction from the fanboys. I did what Rian Johnson had left them something, which was interesting to carry on with. And instead of doing, this is the direction we're going to go in, they're like, listen to people online, these idiots who couldn't write their way out of a paper bag, going, well, I could come up with a better story. No, you can't.
No, but it's the little things, though. It's the little things around it. Like, the humor was awful. I mean, like, really bad humor. And I personally believe Kylo Ren should have been the main villain in Rise of Skywalker with no fucking redemption, but we'll go on about that later. But that wasn't set up at all. So if Rian Johnson was trying to set that up for the third movie, it never materialized, because after killing off Snoke, which I have no problem with, by the way, I have no problem with killing off Snoke at all. Has to be explained who he is in the third film without a doubt, the same way, from a certain point of view was explained, to quickly get, to make sense of why fucking Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father after he was told he was killed by him. So, these things need to be explained very, very quickly, very briefly. It was, and it wasn't satisfying enough, but I'm going on a tangent here. I'm going on too much of a tangent here, and I'm hogging some of the limelight. So I'm going to go straight on to Dixie Comic. What would you like to say about Last Jedi?
Ooh, let's see, Last Jedi.
I know what I'd say.
Oh, go. Sorry, my wife wants to jump in. Go ahead.
Please do.
Well, I don't want to like talk over him completely.
Oh no, it's fine. It's fine. Go
I
ahead.
prefer it.
Behind every good nerd husband is a good nerd wife.
Oh,
Oh,
you
well,
have
okay,
no
well,
idea how nerdy she can be.
Well, we met over him playing.
With himself.
We met over him playing Soldier of Fortune, I think, and I was playing Diablo 2. So yeah, we met over.
Fair enough.
But no, yeah, The Last Jedi and I have not seen Rise of Skywalker. Neither one of us have, so I can't chime in on that one. The Last Jedi, I would watch that solely for Luke Skywalker's grumpy old man moments. I'm sorry, that was so worth it. It was like,
You like that shit?
It's like I loved it. I know that I shouldn't have loved it as much as I did, but I loved it. But otherwise, I think they were trying to do too much in that movie. I mean, you had everybody running around absolutely everywhere. There was yet another ripoff of a planet that was coated in white. The Salt Planet. That was just basically another rip of Hoth. You have a base of you have a base that is supposed to be like impenetrable until you have like that weird hi kitty. Until you have like that really weird bunker buster that was
Oh yeah, yes.
there. It's just like the big bad evil guy that's now the equivalent to Darth Vader, like steps in on the planet. But it's like, I mean, they ended it differently, but it's just like, but yeah, it's just like, oh great, this is now this is Hoth again, and how appropriate that it's in the second movie of the trilogy. That's towards the end rather than the beginning. But there was a it's like but they're running around everywhere. They're trying to find like a code hacker that that they never actually end up finding. They end up finding a guy that ends up being a substitute. They're running around like freeing the weird horse equivalents.
You're running around casino zone.
Yeah, they're running around in like a casino planet.
I hated that. Absolutely hated that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like they are everywhere, and then the whole time you have the ships that are trying to go away, and then you end up having this Deus Ex Machina at the very end where like I can't remember the purple-haired lady's name, like turns the ship around and sends it into light speed back at like the super duper ship. It's like, really? You could have done that the whole fucking time?
All right.
You could have done that the whole time? Why didn't you just like do that with a few of the smaller, less valuable ships and blast everyone apart? Find a few sentient droids that have like a suicide complex and just be like, hey, so download your brain into this computer so we have you on file and we can give you a new body, and fly this ship into that one.
There was a thing called How It Should Have Ended. I'm not sure if you've ever seen that shit. It's on YouTube, and they did a cartoon of how Last Jedi should have ended in certain scenes.
Yep.
And that moment of the heroic kamikaze suicide rocket ship shit should have gone to Admiral Akbar, but they killed him off straight away. And people who like this film, you got a fucking Mary Poppins layer as well and all that bollocks. You got no character development for Finn, none whatsoever. People say that he's a little bit less selfish and shit like that. He was never selfish really to begin with. He was just trying to survive, and he found a cause. He didn't, and then they bring him in the second one, like he just doesn't give a fuck anymore like that after having a change of heart. It just felt a bit weird. No development from him at all.
I thought he had a decent relationship with what's her face? Was it Rose? I think
Rose.
Yeah, because that's one that's another controversial. Which I think that Rose was all right.
She's I didn't like her. Actually, the one character I didn't like was Rose.
But-
Not disliked her, but pointless. I found her.
But I mean, like Laura Dern's character, was it General something or other, the one with the like pinkish hair and like the weird like neck thing? She was a bit pointless to me. But again, there are things about the Last Jedi I didn't like. Like, for example, the Superwoman flying space thing I didn't quite care for. But I as I said, like I liked it because I thought that it was something new I hadn't seen for Star Wars before, where we have this idea that there's only like one fight, and it was built up to it was like wanted. And the thing is that the thing that we had the prequels, which was sword fights, and they didn't mean anything, whereas here they actually meant something.
I thought they meant something in the prequels, and also there was not one in this film, sacrilege in my opinion, not one lightsaber fight in The Last Jedi. Not one. No lightsaber collided with each other, not once.
When they killed off Snoke's guards and stuff like that.
They're using lightsaber. Rey and Kylo are using lightsabers. Those guys ain't. It's not a proper lightsaber fight. It's like a lightsaber versus a laser sword or some sort of laser. I don't know what the fuck that shit is, but it's not a lightsaber, what they were using. You know what I mean? And that felt for me like sacrilege, not having a lightsaber fight of any sort in the movie. You could look past that, I guess. Nevertheless, I know there's one person here, there's another person who also likes Last Jedi, but then again, if it's shit, it's usually going to be liked by Roberto. What did you like about The Last Jedi, Roberto?
I mean, I agree with a lot of what Gary said. A lot of things that there was a lot of good concepts in The Last Jedi, and it didn't make it my favorite Star Wars movie by any means, but they definitely did. I mean, like you were saying about, it's sacrilege. There's no lightsaber fights. I kind of like that. Like and then we get the kind of bogus lightsaber fight in between Kylo and Rey in the next movie, and then you're like, oh well, that's a bad Jedi fight. It's like, okay,
all the lightsaber fights were shit, by the way, all of them in the sequels. There was no good lightsaber duels. The ones in the fucking original trilogy were better than this shit.
Well, you can't. I mean, in episode 4, it wasn't very good. I mean,
I guess.
You had Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader, and they were just kind of swinging light sticks at each other.
Yeah,
they weren't really doing much.
Alex Guinness was in his fucking 70s, man. I gave him a pass. You got two young. You got two young people. You got one guy in a fucking suit, trying to wobble about, and you got an old Alec Guinness, and then you got two people who are staying in the best shape of their lives, who are physically training for the shit. If you saw some of the videos of them prior to filming, they were getting into the best shape of their lives, and yet they give us this shit. Come on. I mean, it's the modern day. Give us some good fucking lightsaber duels. That's another thing the prequel had over this, is that the lightsaber fights were fantastic, exhilarating stuff.
Well, and you know my stance on Jedis. I'm not a fan of Jedis. I'm done with Jedis. I don't lightsabers and force and floaty things and midichlorians and all that bullshit. I'm just done with Jedi.
Mumble. Look, I understand. I totally understand. But nevertheless, Jedis are playing a prominent role when it comes to these fucking 9 movies. Well, it's not going anywhere. You don't want Jedis? Watch The Mandalorian. Maybe watch
I do watch The Mandalorian. I watch all things that are not like I invest in all Star Wars things that are not Skywalker related. Like, I love, like I've always said in the past, I've played the X-Wing and TIE Fighter games back when I was younger. I played Shadows of the Empire, like, even though there was some Jedi stuff in there, but it's just like The Mandalorian.
I want to quickly say this before I forget, but I keep forgetting this thing. When it comes to Luke Skywalker regarding The Last Jedi, I didn't like his portrayal. But if you want to see the best portrayal of Luke Skywalker after Return of the Jedi, play the Battlefront game, because that shit is canon. And you actually play as Luke Skywalker, and there's cutscenes of Luke Skywalker when you play as him. And that portrayal of Luke Skywalker in those cutscenes is fantastic. I love Luke Skywalker in Battlefront, the way they portrayed him. It really felt right. It felt like this is who he should be. He's mild-mannered. He's polite. He's not argumentative. He's very assertive at the same time, and he's confident. And you got all of that in there with him. Any of you guys played the Battlefront games?
No, never. I've never played the Battlefront game.
You have. You go in the fucking game. We played it together, you bastard. But you played that story mode, yeah?
Yeah. No, I like Luke in that. And actually really bring up a good point about The Last Jedi, and that people always have an issue. Like, oh, I don't like Luke's portrayal. Why would Luke go to a planet all by himself and exile himself? That's not what Luke Jedi. No, hold on, Sam. Hold on. No, hold on. Let me finish.
Okay.
He exiles himself, and then all these fans are like, "That's not Luke. He wouldn't do that. What? That's not what a Jedi would do." Fuck that. Listen, you got Obi-Wan did it. Yoda did it. The Sith have done it. Like it made sense when I saw that Luke was going to be like this old crotchety Jedi that was just butthurt about what didn't happen. I was on board. It made total sense. I liked Luke's portrayal. I did not like his death in The Last Jedi, but I did like his portrayal in The Last Jedi because he had a full character arc throughout the whole movie. The casino planet, I like the casino planet because it was something fucking different. Now, should it have been in a different movie instead of a side story in this one? Probably. It didn't make any sense for them to, leave the chase, as I call it, and go to this planet and do this and get it did seem like a glorified fetch quest within a movie. They left the main quest to do a fetch quest. So I agree that it's very out of place in this movie. But the whole hyperspace thing, that's kind of bullshit too, because it's like, well, why don't they have sentient droids doing that? But it is what it is. I mean, why can Luke all of a sudden teleport his image across the galaxy? Because they made up that.
I'm fine with that. I was totally fine with that, by the way, but I just didn't like how it was executed. And also, you mentioned all of these things, but Luke also tried to kill Kylo Ren, and that seemed out of character considering he was willing to let him, he wasn't willing to kill his own father. So tit for tat, it just feels a bit stupid. Yeah, my father's already in the dark side. I'm not willing to fucking kill him. My nephew hasn't turned to the dark side yet. Yeah, let me fucking kill him. It's stupid. It's fucking stupid. I don't know why people fucking, think that this is good shit. It's just fucking ridiculous. I don't want to keep going on about The Last Jedi, but if anyone's
let me finish my points, and then Butt Crimes actually wants to say something about it.
Please, I apologize.
So we'll but anyway, I think The Last Jedi took a lot of good swings. I think The Last Jedi took a lot of swings that didn't hit. And you know what? Maybe 10 years, 15 years down the road, this will be the Empire Strikes Back of it, in the sense of it did, because Empire Strikes Back was not well received when it first came out. This is not what Star Wars is. Oh, Mrs. Butt Crimes wants to say something. Okay, my bad. But there's just so much, this is why you can't, anything with the name Star in it, you can't make the fans happy. No one's going to be happy. I didn't hate The Last Jedi. I didn't love it, but there were definitely some things that were kind of out of place and inconsistent, but at the same time, I think they took some pretty good swings. The lightsaber battle with Rey and Finn versus them. I didn't like the way they did Snoke, only because I was hoping for a grander reveal. I was hoping it was frickin' Mace Windu. I honestly, legitly was like, Palpatine found Mace Windu and then took him to the Outer Rim and kind of healed him back up and kind of turned him to the dark side. Kind of like a Jason Todd scenario.
He's an alien. He's not even human. He's not human. He can't have been. Snoke. He's not a human being.
Yes, but I'm saying I hoped he would. I hope he was more than just a clone of.
I thought he'd be Plagueis personally. That would have been better.
No, bullshit Plagueis. Nobody even. If Plagueis was actually in the movies, then maybe. But if Plagueis was not in the movies, I think it would have been a better twist if it was Mace Windu when we first got our reveal of
surprise, motherfuckers.
Yeah, he walks out. He's like, he's like, Rey, you motherfucker. All right. So, but I mean, the Snoke thing was, I didn't like the way it went down. I agree with you though that Kylo should have become the main villain of the third. One thing I wanted to bring up really quick during the Force Awakens part, and that kind of leads into this, is that I really feel like that the First Order coming out of nowhere was stupid. I really feel like the First Order should have been something that was built up through the 3 movies, and then that the end, like the third movie, was about the Resistance versus the full-on First Order. You know what I mean? Like, So anyway, so that's my whole rundown of The Last Jedi. As I said, I don't think it was as bad as people made it out to be, but it's not nothing to love, but it's not anywhere near nothing to hate. I'm sorry. Okay, Butt Crimes or Mrs. Butt Crimes, you have the floor.
It was a tiny thing, and I know that I'm not remembering it quite right because again, it's been a few years since The Last Jedi came out. And again, I haven't seen The Rise of Skywalker, so I can't chime in on that one. But they found that hacker guy, and they were about to, take him to where they were going to take him on, the big badass mothership. And and he's hacking into the ship that they commandeer to leave on. And Ray was, no, not Ray, sorry. Poe, I think, or one of them was trying to, hi kitty. Sorry, I have a cat that's like spontaneously licking my legs. She was trying to advocate for, the good, what's portrayed as the good guys. It's just like, oh, we're doing this and this is what we're after and this is what we're for. And, it's just like, do you really think that they aren't doing anything bad? And, it's just like, how evil do you think, it's like, how evil do you think the evil guys are? And she's just like, well, they're horrible. And he hacks into the system and he's just like, yeah, you're right. It's like these guys are dealing in weapons to these guys and these guys are oh, hey, look, some of your good guys are doing it too.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, wow. So, it's just like, I actually enjoyed that. I enjoyed the fact that, the good guys aren't, it revealed this one thing where the good guys weren't just completely squeaky clean.
That's one of the things I really liked about Rogue One. I know we're not going into Rogue One, but
I love that about Rogue One.
Oh, that was wonderful. I know we're not going to get into it.
No. I want to quickly say, see that what you mentioned, the Mrs. Butt Crimes, bothers me because something like that would have been picked up by the Empire, by the First Order, that our handlers are fucking double dealing, and they wouldn't take any shit from that, and they'll probably take them over and everything. And the fact that the Empire, if the Empire were using these people in the first place, I know this is obviously set during the First Order, but if the Empire were using these people in the first place, they wouldn't allow them to double deal, and they'll be very well aware of these things, and that bugs the fuck out of me. You know what I mean? It just makes them seem incompetent. It makes the bad guys who are supposed to be on top of everything incompetent, and I don't like it. I actually don't like that at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, what kind of fucks with me is whenever Darth Vader in Cloud City, remember when Lando's about to sell his buddies out, and Darth Vader's like, yeah, that's kind of like the same thing right there. I'm like, except the quote-unquote good guys are stupid about it, don't realize, hey, that the Empire's going to fuck us over anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They knew they were going to get fucked over. They understand who they are.
Well, you also have the point where like, if you're going to have like a double dealing thing, it's like maybe the Empire, or in this case the First Order equivalent to Empire, they're like, all right, these guys, we know that they're double dealing. Let's find out who comes in to double deal, and it's like we track them. I mean, it's like we'll use the dealer.
I think also, like in some of the books, I'm not sure which ones are still canon or not. Palpatine had fucking planets dedicated to building shit, for the Empire. They weren't dealing with anybody. There was no middleman. They weren't buying shit. They were making it themselves. So this is just so stupid when I see this shit. I just want to grab Rian Johnson and throw him off the fucking Empire State Building because he's fucking ruined Star Wars as far as I'm fucking concerned. Fuck him.
On.
Yeah. Honestly, fuck him. I personally wish this, even though I'm not a fan of a lot of J.J. Abrams stuff, I think he's a fucking poor man's Steven Spielberg, always will be. But nevertheless, I wish this entire fucking trilogy was his instead of having his fucking middle part, which has got nothing to fucking do with him. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the thing is that, I think this is a problem because it was supposed to be another director directing the third one, wasn't it? It was supposed to be the guy who directed. Was it Godzilla? Was it or something?
I don't know, but it was somebody else. It wasn't supposed to be Abraham.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the guy who directed Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, or whatever it's called. Yeah, it was the guy who directed that. Yeah,
didn't Spielberg direct the second one as well?
Second what?
He definitely directed the third one, Spielberg, but I'm not sure if he directed the
second
one.
I'm talking about the new ones. Jurassic World.
Jurassic World. Fair enough.
Yeah, Michael was what's his name? Trevorrow. What's he called? Trevorrow. Yeah, he directed that, and he was supposed to direct the third one. But again, the thing is, after what happened to Rian Johnson, no one wanted to touch it with the big powerful. I can't blame them because he got death threats and all that stuff, and who'd want to deal with that shit?
I agree. I know what I said was really ridiculous, but I'm not advocating that I want him fucking to die. I'm just so pissed off that I have to say something like that because I'm a passionate fan. But no way in my fucking wildest dreams I want any harm to come to him.
Okay, but I'd say that the sequels are better than the prequels. I mean that's a fact.
Not for me.
I mean, because George Lucas, all the good things about him. The bad thing is that he couldn't direct traffic.
Look, I want to get to all of that after we finish talking about the trilogies in general. Yeah, but we're going to go on now to unless I'm done with Last Jedi, and this one we spoke about this for almost fucking half an hour. So let's get on to the next one. Unless anybody's got any final things to say about the Last Jedi, going once, going twice, gone to fucking room 101. Fuck you, Last Jedi. Anyway, we're now on to the Rise of Skywalker. Now, don't get me wrong. I think this film is also shit, like the other ones. But when it comes to the entire trilogy, this is my favorite one. And I'm not completely happy with this film, but I give Rian Johnson, I give J.J. Abrams a little bit of credit here. Because not only did he have to try and figure out a way of dealing with Rian Johnson's bullshit, he also had to deal with the fact that Carrie Fisher had died as well. Now, personally, I would have incorporated in the opening crawl of the movie about the death of General Leia. I would have had that as an off-screen thing that maybe the fact that she was in space by herself ended up being the thing that killed her, something like along those lines. Who knows? But that would have been better than what he decided to do by using footage from the previous films. And you could see that he didn't belong in this particular movie. Making Rhea Palpatine was a bad move because Rian Johnson set up that she was a nobody and she should have remained a nobody. Bringing in Palpatine as well was a bad move because if film was easily set up for Kylo Ren to be the main villain, the main antagonist, but J.J. Abrams, I'm going to get all tongue twisted with names today. J.J. Abrams didn't want to go there. But even though I'm saying all of these things, I did enjoy the film. The pace of the film was great. Well, nice, decent pace from here to there, everywhere. I did like the big ending to a degree with all the ships. My throat got caught. I was so emotional. Seeing Lando come back, fuck me. I love Lando Calrissian. But it's a shame that when you see Lando come back, when you see some of these original trilogy characters come back, they're only for a little bit here, a little bit there. They're not really integral when it comes to being in the movie. They're just there just for the sake of hey, look, I'm still alive. After 40 years, that's what they're there for. But it was okay. It wrapped this shit up nicely, I guess. Rey's a fucking Skywalker. Bish Bash Bob, Bob's your father's brother. It's all fucking over. I was glad that it's all fucking over because now we can concentrate on other eras and other shit and maybe no more fucking Skywalkers. So Rise of Skywalker, I'm going to start off with you, Buck Crimes. What do you think?
Actually, I think Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, you haven't seen it, have you?
No, I haven't. Not yet.
Oh shit! I apologize. I
Oh, it's
totally
okay.
forgot. You got anything to say on it? Still, nevertheless.
Not really. I can't really give an opinion on something I haven't seen
You're
yet.
gonna get spoiled the shit out of, and I'm very surprised you haven't seen it. But you're gonna get spoiled the shit out of, mate. I do apologize. You might want to put some earplugs in.
Nope.
So,
I'm gonna watch it anyway, man, just to close out the series.
No problem. So I'll jump on to you, boss man. What do you want to say about Rise?
It's terrible, and here's why. It basically undoes the whole thing of Jedi can be everybody, and Rey has to be Palpatine's granddaughter, which is like, why are we doing this? And then like, it had a lot of, I want to say Dan Brown, but it's not Dan Brown, it's Lost. A lot of Lost things that Abrams likes to do, which is everything's a little bit of a puzzle. So that thing over there is related to that thing, which is a little puzzle that points to this thing, which leads us to do this, which is this Sith thing, which will solve this, which will do this, which will if we turn around 37 times, we'll open this. It's just like, stop it. Just tell a story. Just tell us a good story. And that's what was doing my head in. It's just like interacting these guys, these wave rider guys who've never been introduced in anywhere, who had nothing to do with the story whatsoever. Yeah, that was nothing. And then like Finn had zero today because like Rose and his love interest there was gone, and like all the impetus he had from the Last Jedi was gone. And then we have. Can I do spoilers? Because I don't really want to do it for book crimes.
Do spoilers, man.
Okay, because like there's a clone of Palpatine. Why is there a clone of Palpatine? Is he the real guy? Because why does he have the yellow eyes? Why does he not look like he did pre Revenge of the Sith? Why does he? Why does he look like he does it? Why does he look like he does a Jedi? Didn't he get thrown down into a plasma pit by Darth Vader? This makes. I mean, at least with Darth Maul gets chopped in half. At least you can say, "Oh, will the top part of him survive?" All right, I can believe that. All right, I can't believe someone get thrown into a plasma pit and then later told what and then how on earth did they transport all the shit to make that many ships onto that part?
To interject with Palpatine living, quote unquote. He actually cloned himself according to the books.
Yeah, he made loads of clones.
Yes, he did.
He was able to transfer his essence into those clones every time one of the clone bodies died. Yeah, he made younger versions of himself.
But you have to do some serious lore digging in order to figure that out.
And that's probably not even canon anymore.
Yeah, but the thing is that... But the thing is that, like, what did he go back to? Did he go to, like, maybe using his sword? No. What he did was do the one thing that's always worked for him, Force Lightning. Now, Force Lightning is good and it's bad, but the thing is that it killed him again. So it's like, well to done, dumbass. That last time you got found done it, and he turned you into Bacon Face, and now it's turned you into Dead Guy. So not only does that one trick pony work for you badly once, it's worked for you badly twice. So he's a dumbass. So the Emperor, this grand schemer, is a dumbass. Thirdly, then the worst thing is like it wastes like really good actors like Richard E. Grant and stuff like that, and also like doing nothing. It's just like, meh. And like as I said, Rose is hardly in it. Even though she was introduced to the character, and he just had these guys just turning up for no reason. Like, and he's like going, "What's your name? Ray what? Ray Skywalker." Heaven's sake, no.
I saw it coming, but it wasn't a big deal for me. Kind of made sense.
But the thing is that I didn't get why Ray and Kylo had to kiss at the end. It's just like was it because he was shirtless in the second one? And she's going, cover yourself up and stuff like that. It's just like, no. Is it because you want to see Daisy Ridley and Fabian Adam Driver get it on? I mean, like I get attractive people, but hey, I get my kicks other places. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, heaven forbid we have a black woman and a white, a black man and a white woman get together. Heaven forbid we have that. That's the thing that annoyed me the most. End.
Yeah, I personally wanted Finn and Ray to get together, but I had no problems with Kylo. I mean, they went through a lot of emotional shit. But I want to ask you, Gary, you had a problem with with Rey being a Palpatine, but you didn't have a problem with Rey being a nothing in the second one, even though they were establishing something in the first one, which was saying that Rey came from possibly some stock because she had these memory, she kept reconciling of being taken away by the Simon Pegg character in Force Awakens. So that never got anywhere. Rian Johnson neutralized that in the bud. So why are you okay with that, but you're not okay with this? Within her being revealed as a Palpatine, even though J.J. Abrams was setting something up in the first one, which Rian Johnson decided to say fuck that.
I think it's because I like the idea that a Jedi could come from anywhere.
I agree with that.
Because the thing is that if it's somebody who could come from anywhere, I mean, like it's somebody who could come from that planet over there, like that's just some nowhere. Like because you look at like in the New Hope. Literally, Luke Skywalker is on a nothing planet. He's on a sand planet that literally he and his uncle and aunt are one of the few living people on it. Apart from that, the Jawas and the Sand people and stuff like that, they're the only like human beings in this little enclave to live in. So basically, he's on a nowhere planet. So that shows you he can come from nowhere, and then we'll learn about him that he was put there for his safety and blah blah blah. That makes sense for that character. The thing is with Rey is that she thinks she's somebody, but the more important that she is somebody, but she's the first somebody. She doesn't have to come from anywhere, and that's what I like.
Okay, that's a good argument. I agree with that. I like that.
Really quick?
Before I get to you, Roberto, I just want to say that the one thing Rian Johnson didn't incorporate in his movie was the Knights of Ren. I mean, what's the point of having them as well, and you can't incorporate it in your film? And if you can't incorporate it in the film, then you're doing J.J. Abrams a disservice with your sequel. And unfortunately, because people were going on about them not being in the second movie, they had to get shoehorned in this film, and they weren't used very well, in my opinion. But nevertheless, Roberto, what would you like to say?
Well, just to kind of continue on with the conversation, you guys were talking about Jedi's coming from anywhere. They do. They just had a better way of identifying them in the prequels, and then when obviously the Jedi were eradicated, they didn't have that way to find them. So, I mean, it's always been there that Jedi can come from anywhere. They had a better way and a better format of identifying them in the prequels. So I don't know why this ever became a thing where it's like Jedis can't be anybody, because it's always been that way. It's just these stories have always focused on the Skywalkers and the Palpatines. Well, I guess retroactively focused on the Palpatines now. But the original one was just like it was the Skywalkers. So I don't know where like countering both of your topics or I don't want to say arguments, but points. It's always been there. It's always been a thing. Like Jedis can come from everywhere. Like that little boy at the end who grabbed the broom with the Force. He could have just been a kid that's been born with Force powers since. But I mean, they obviously haven't been trained or identified because there's no
Jedi Order
around to get them.
Yeah. Which is something I would like to have seen in this entire trilogy, was like a brand new Jedi Order, but they were gone before they even started, unfortunately.
Well, that's something that I thought was a trick that was missed, was that there was like I love something like for example at the end of it all, like maybe Rey goes out to find new Jedi. She goes, right, well, I'm the first new Jedi. I can start a new order that's better than the old one. And like start incorporating a lot of things she thought for, as you said, like, and start finding these kids. And like training them up to be, better people to say, like, look, this is the dark path, you don't go down there because here's what he calls, blah, blah, blah. See, I would find that interesting, like maybe as a series and stuff like that. Because again, like even though I know you were saying before that you're sick of Jedi stuff, I think it can be done well if they do it without the swords. Because I think that's the swords that take it out, because it just needs to get into like samurai fights. Now, samurai fights are cool, but they should be built up to. They shouldn't be like every 5 seconds, otherwise you just get sick of it.
Yeah, I would like to see more diplomacy, but we had that in the prequels, I guess. Not much of it though. Everything ended up with a fucking sword fight, didn't it? So, Roberto, you got anything more to say about the trilogy, how it ended? I mean, actually, I want to, before I add to you, Ian McDiarmid. Now, I think he's a fantastic actor, and him and Ewan McGregor were two of the best things, British actors, by the way, two of the best things about the prequels. But not in this movie, not in Rise of Skywalker. For some reason, not even Ian McDiarmid could save this movie. He was not the best thing about this film. And even though he's a duck to water when it comes to playing Palpatine, it wasn't a memorable performance. You know, the way he was in the prequels is far. All three films, by the way, especially the Revenge of the Sith, fantastic. And he couldn't even, not even a molecule of that was in of those performances was in this. If anything, he was being he was like Palpatine was doing his greatest hits. Here, do it and stuff like that. You know, doing his greatest hits and shit like that. You know.
Well, and here's where I'm going to bring up about Palpatine, because this is what I think should have happened with the end of this trilogy. And I've mentioned this on one of our podcasts before, or on our review of Rise of Skywalker. And I really think that they should have cut their losses and made Episode 9 and then Episode 10.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
It would have been the finale, because they were cramming so much, and they were trying to fix they were trying to fix the story that was told by Rian Johnson. I'm not saying it needed to be fixed, but it's just not the direction they were going. So they had to kind of retroactively do 2 movies in one, and it was shorter than The Last Jedi. So I feel like, as I said, I don't have a problem with The Last Jedi, but if it's kind of like the Marvel thing. It's like, if it's not going in your direction as a studio, then you kind of have to take the hit and just either fix it, or you take the time to, or you either fix it or you take the time to smooth it out. And I think they really should have done an Episode 10. I think that Palpatine, I'm okay with Palpatine being back, but I feel like they shouldn't have had him hooked up to whatever that floaty shit was. And I think he should have been in both movies.
The Animus.
I think that Episode 9 should have been called Rise of Skywalker, but I think that if they did an Episode 10 to cap everything off, it should have been called Fall of the Sith. And I mean, I feel like, you know, throughout that whole thing, you know, I feel like you would have gotten more time with some of these bonus characters. And I agree, there were definitely some characters, great characters like Phasma, that were skirted under the rug.
Yeah, what the fuck was the deal with Phasma? And another thing that Last Jedi did better than Force Awakens was the use of Phasma, because honestly, you build up this character to look like the Boba Fett of the fucking of stormtroopers, and actually ends up being treated like the Boba Fett of fucking stormtroopers by being treated like a piece of shit, a coward in the first one. You know, no fucking bollocks whatsoever, literally. You know, so yeah, Captain Phasma was used.
What were you? I have more to say, but what were you going to say, boss man?
Well, I was just going to say, like, the thing that annoyed me the most was when, like, they said that Luke was looking for the Sith planet. Was it called Exegol or whatever it's called? Yet he never mentions it at one time to Rey. Never mentions that he was looking for this Jedi planet. Nor has this Jedi planet ever been spoken of before. Now,
the Sith planet, you mean?
Yeah, the Sith planet. Sorry, the Sith planet. Like, wouldn't it be better that he go to? Is it the second one or the third one where they have like the cloning people? Yeah, the second
Camino.
One. Yeah. Is it better that he was in Camino getting cloned there? Because that's actually been established and we know about it. So like going
Camino would have been much better. Actually, I like that idea.
I agree. I feel like if they would have done the Camino thing, like let's say like that the Camino planet was like like when Palpatine showed up after Return of the Jedi, like he just ravaged the planet, and then he turned all the cloners into slaves. Like, and it turns into like this really dark planet. But because they were very bright and cheery in the prequels, and then when they go back there, they're like, they don't know because they've never been there. But as fans, we're like, oh my god, what have they done? Like, but it would be very dark and dreary. And that's like you have your own army, you have your where you get your army from, and all that. I mean, they're just, as I said, this is probably my favorite movie out of the sequel trilogy, just because I feel like finally the trio of these characters finally got their time together. Also, talking about the relationships, you guys were talking about, Finn and his guy, or Finn and his girl, and Rey and Ben. I didn't care at all about the Rey and Ben Solo thing. And honestly, you know what I really would have thought, and this might be a cop out, but I was thinking that they would find like Kylo Ren was like a clone of Ben Solo. I don't know. It sounded good in my head, but I don't know. I mean,
I just wish that what's his name was a Jedi by the third movie. Finn being a Jedi. If Ryan Johnson done him right in the second film.
I don't think so. Here's my thing. Finn can be force sensitive. Maybe he's got like a elevated like midichlorian count, but like not everybody has to be a Jedi.
His arc is
Can
so
we stop it with
bad.
midichlorian count? That was stupid.
His arc is so. His arc was so bad. Yeah, like they needed to give him like. I never known the character to be so. I mean, this guy used to be a stormtrooper, and then you make him force sensitive in the third film, which doesn't really lead anywhere, and it's just and like his whole usage in whether you agree with me or not, hopefully you do agree with me a little bit. The way Finn was used in The Last Jedi was a joke.
Well, the thing is that they put him on that path to be the Jedi because he beats his dragon in Phasma. The thing is like, and I hate to say this because I know I'm going to say, "Oh, you're calling Disney racist." Well, kind of, yeah, because we can't possibly have a black man be a Jedi, even though like he was in the prequels. But like, I think that's the problem because it's now Disney and they have, let's say, not the best record when it comes to depicting black people.
I agree, boss man. I agree 100% because I knew we were in for a shit show with The Force Awakens when you got Finn acting like a fucking bumbling dickhead, chasing around fucking Rey like a lovesick puppy, and then telling fucking BB-8 droid, please. I wanted to fucking kill myself there and then, mate. Right there.
I thought it was funny.
I thought it was fucking stupid.
Oh,
really stupid, man.
You know what? Here's my
American slang used in fucking space and with a twist. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid, man.
No, you know what? Here's my balls to the wall relationship shipping in this trilogy. Finn and Poe, faux show. I wanted Finn and Poe together.
You want to ship that?
That didn't happen.
Huh?
I'm actually surprised that did not happen.
Like I don't, like I get it that they're bros and all that other stuff, but it's just like there was in the way their characters were done. There was a chemistry there that it would have been very organic for them to do that in the third movie.
Exactly.
But was it Poe tapping that girl that he met in the second one?
Skywalker.
Yeah, but
no. There's a girl in Last Jedi that he was like some sort of like she's like had blue eyes. She was like some sort of like
alien
smuggler and stuff like that. And she was like, it was like going like, do you remember when we used to share quiet nights? It's like, all right, you're tapping that with you. I was like, all right. So
he's bisexual. I mean, who? I
agree.
I mean, but it's like that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be like straightforward. I mean, Lando Calrissian probably would have sex with the galaxy if he could. I mean,
he's another good example of that too.
Yeah,
I've never really seen I never really see Star Wars as depicting LGBT people. I mean, they could barely depict black people well. And it's in space. Because when we had black people, it's either flaming Finn, or it's Lando Calrissian, who's cool, or the worst, which is Jar Jar Binks. You know what I mean? It's like that's our depiction of black people, guys.
Well, I give Disney credit a little bit for diversifying the First Order a bit because when it comes to the Empire First Order, they were not racist towards other races within the humans. They were racist towards other alien species. Humans were always treated
racist.
Yeah, I know they are, but I'm just saying
it's fictionally racist.
They're space racist.
You blue bastard.
That's why you mainly saw human beings when it came to the Empire, but when it came to the Resistance and the Rebels, they were a mix of all types of fucking species, but also mainly human.
Well, they also had in the third movie. They also had women stormtroopers. I mean, you could hear them, and I like that. When I heard the first woman stormtrooper, I was like, "Holy shit!" Like that was a woman. I'm like, that is awesome, because I was like, it makes sense. Once they stopped using clones of one person, what did they just were like? A woman went up to sign up for the Empire, and they're like, Do you have a penis? No? Okay, move along. Like, like. So I just
in this galaxy, they love kidnapping children, don't they? The Jedi fucking do it. The Empire fucking do it. Everyone fucking does it.
But my final point on Rise of Skywalker, and then we can move on to the trilogy as a whole and wrap this up. But the pacing was very quick and very concise. I do agree that there was a lot of fetch questy stuff in there. Like, I believe that the casino part would have been actually good at the beginning. Instead of them going to that desert festival, maybe them going to that casino planet. It would make more sense for them to do that.
Yeah, another fucking desert planet. Yeah.
And I mean, I think this should have been 2 movies. I really feel that for them to do what they needed to do to wrap up this thing, they should have taken the hit and made it. And everyone would be like, oh, Disney's just trying to milk it for whatever. But no, like, this is the problem. Disney, they say, oh, we don't want to go outside the trilogy aspect. And it's like, yeah, but this is what we get. This is the problem. Like, if Disney would have just came out and said, look, we really want to give a good, concise end to this trilogy. And unfortunately, we can't do it in 1 movie. So we have to do it in episode 10. I know it breaks the trilogy format, but fuck y'all, because y'all a bunch of dumbass fans.
I'm totally fine with that, by the way. It's a shame. It's a shame, but it's a good idea, but it's something that will not materialize ever, unfortunately. They've wrapped it up, and they can't wait. They've wrapped up in such a way that you can't then just make a 10th movie and say, this is the wrap up, 1 fucking film. No, it won't work like that, unfortunately. But I do like your idea if they decided to go with it from the get-go.
Yeah, but they'd have to go with it from the get-go. They couldn't, like, retroactively do it or anything like that. Otherwise, that might spawn, like, a whole nother trilogy 5 years down the road or something like that.
Well, it's all over now. Thank God for that. And there was some rumors that there's a George Lucas cut, apparently. There's a rumor of that, of the Rise of Skywalker. I'd love to see that if that's the case. And also there was rumors of them, maybe doing some timeline bullshit and just basically trashing this trilogy and doing it again. Not realizing that fucking Han Solo doesn't want to do this. Sorry, Harrison Ford doesn't want to do this shit anymore, and the motherfucker's almost in his 80s.
Well, here's the thing: if you're going to do that, I think that if they are going to make, I don't think they should decanonize these movies. But if they do want to go back and do a proper 7, 8, and 9, I think that they should go back, recast with obviously younger actors playing these guys. Maybe get like the actors who played Han Solo from Solo and Lando, which was Troy Baker, I think. Have Carrie Fisher's daughter. Maybe, I don't know if she's a good actress or not, but I'm just saying maybe have her cast as Leia, and then have Sebastian Stan
as Luke Skywalker. He's a taller Luke Skywalker.
And then kind of generally go off the sequel books. And just, because I've always kind of been interested in that whole thing. I don't know. I don't know how the sequel books go specifically. So there's probably like some retconning there from the Force Awakens. I know there were many kids involved, not just Ben Solo. There was like Luke had 2 kids and Han and Leia had 2 kids, and there was a secret kid or something. But if they really want to do that, and they want to do a 9, 10, or a 7, 8, and 9, and they want to make this new trilogy just like a side thing, then they really need to go back and recast and do it. And I say they need to commit. And I know they're going to get shit for it, but you know what? They got shit for The Last Jedi. They got shit for The Force Awakens. They got shit for Rise of Skywalker. They got shit for Solo. Rogue One was their only halfway decent thing that people liked. What's the difference?
I disagree, because you're going to muddy the waters so much that you'll be ruining Star Wars. I mean,
it's already ruined according to most people.
It is already ruined, but they got to come up with shit that has already been established with previous films in this current universe. To do this, it'll make expanded universe stuff like, what the fuck? What is it? This timeline, or the Kelvin timeline, or this timeline? It's all that bollocks. It wasn't so bad with Star Trek, because you got a fuck ton of shit, and time travel played a prominent part in Star Trek before the reboot movie, so it makes sense. Time travel has never played a part in Star Wars, and I don't want it to fucking start playing a part now.
But what about? But I mean, could they do what? I mean, what about the Mandalorian and stuff like that? I think if they do stuff more like the Mandalorian, where it's not Jedi stuff, where it's more like, well, it's the small amounts of Jedi stuff, but it's that amount, and it's more about like the universe and like these different planets and their interactions with each other. That could be cool. If it's more stuff like the Mandalorian and stuff like that. If that's what Disney's doing, I'll be fine with that. And again, I didn't mind these trilogies. I just think that because again, it put a bow in it. It was like this is the end of that particular narrative. And the thing is that if there's a narrative now where to do, I don't know, the new Jedi coming up, I'd be alright with that. If it's like, right, this is the mistakes that were made in the past, and this is what we're doing to learn from them. At least it's taking what's happened to canon and moving forward with it.
Yeah, like take responsibility and just move forward. I agree with that.
But they're never giving people what they want. I mean, it took them forever to even work on Obi-Wan. People wanted a Boba Fett movie, where regardless of whether other people think it's shit or not, that never materialized because they don't want to focus on the bad guy. I want stuff focused on the Sith. I want shit on the fucking Old Republic. We're not going to get the Old Republic. We're going to get the High Republic. There was no Sith during that period, even though they were, but they were in hiding. So if they ended up interacting with the fucking Jedi, it can feel stupid because the Jedi were not supposed to fucking acknowledge them until the beginning of fucking episode 1.
Well, then maybe the High Republic's going to be based on the Sith perspective.
But there's only 2 Sith because it's the rule of 2 during that period.
Well, then you have 2 characters that you follow throughout the series.
I'm fine with that if it's about them, but if they interact with Jedi, then the Jedi would have known about the Sith before, and then it ruins everything regarding episode 1, unless those 2 Sith kill off all the fucking Jedi who they interact with. If they have lightsaber burns, and then obviously the Jedi are going to know about that and wonder what the fuck's going on and why was this shit not, they never realized this shit earlier. Because the thing about the Sith is that they fucking, for 1,000 years, they just kept it on the low. They built up wealth, they built up power through other means, through commerce, through capitalism and shit like that. And that's, you had Hugo Damas, aka Darth Plagueis. He was a very wealthy man. He was part of the banking clan. You know about the banking clan? You heard of that?
Yeah, from the prequels.
But Hugo Damas, that's the real name of Darth Plagueis. He was the chief head of the banking clan, and he got himself into that position because he was immune, M-U-N, that's how it's spelled. And they're all usually a part of the banking clan, and because he's a Sith Lord, he was able to use his influence to get to the top. But yeah, all of these things. But let's just stop me going on a tangent here. I do apologize. We're going to start wrapping things up now. Let's start talking about the sequels compared to the original trilogy and the prequels. I think there's a no-brainer here when it comes to the original trilogy, unless you're Roberto. But the sequels are nowhere near as good as the original trilogy. Would all you guys agree?
I agree.
I agree to an extent. Pretty much what I'm agreeing with is yes, but then again, it's also colored through nostalgia glasses as well. It's kind of hard to give like the new stuff a serious chance when you have all this other good stuff, that came before it. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, now, Buttcrumbs, I'm going to counter that by saying that films like Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4 were fantastic movies, made many years after the initial 2, and yet they still worked, if you know what I mean. Those were sequels that still worked. The heart was still there because they were done right. If you do it right, in my opinion, doesn't matter if you have got rose-tinted glasses or not, people will appreciate it, but they know good shit when they see it. And
well, yeah, that's if you do it right at the start,
I guess. Okay, so when it comes, Roberto, what do you prefer, the original trilogy or the sequels?
You don't want to know my answer.
I do.
I honestly, I prefer the sequel trilogies over the original.
This guy, man, I knew it, man. This guy, he's an infiltrator, man.
To me, A New Hope was not that great. I mean, it did. I respect it for what it established, but it wasn't that great. Empire Strikes Back was okay in my opinion. And keep in mind, I've seen these movies my entire life, and honestly, my favorite is Return of the Jedi. So because I feel like all the characters were really good. I mean, in the first movie, Luke was a little bitch. Han was a dumbass. Everything was predictable. I just no. Like it that I mean, they're running around a moon-sized fucking spaceship, and they're just walking around whatever, and they only ran into patrols here and there. Like, I mean, that is some convenient level of convenient bullshit right there. I mean,
it's the Force. Don't fucking argue, mate.
Yeah, it's the Force. Yeah, that's another thing. It's like the Force this, the Force that, the Force. You know what? The Force can eat my shit and die because I don't care about the Force. One of the worst things about Star Wars, in my opinion, is the Force. Space magic. Just call it space magic. And laser swords. Come on.
Look, everyone knows that the Star Wars films are pretty much a medieval movie in space. And so when it comes to medieval shit, that mysticism, that magic and stuff, it plays its part too. So, go on.
I was going to say The Last Jedi is better than The Return of the Jedi and Lost Hope, because Return of the Jedi has one thing that ruins it, and it's fucking Ewoks.
Oh God! Seriously, Ewoks are the things that ruin that fucking movie. You know what?
So the Porgs are great then.
Yeah, the
Last Jedi motherfuckers. The Porgs are fantastic.
I'd French kiss a Porg before.
Don't eat my friend after you've killed him. Oh, I'm going to give you sad eyes. You've already killed my friend, but don't eat him now. Please.
I'd French kiss a Porg before I'd be in the same room with Ewoks. Ewoks are fine, small little evil teddy bears that are cannibals. I hate them. Like they're so flaming. They're like there to swig money off kids. That's what they're there for. Honestly, I can't stand. Honestly, look, Return of the Jedi has that, and then it has again, it has some dark stuff in it, and again, there are good stuff in it, but at the most, well, as I said, I agree with what Bobby was saying about the New Hope isn't well directed, but I will say that Lost Jedi is well directed, and I think it's next to what's the word, Empire. Actually, I think it's better than Empire, but that's my
what? Oh my God!
Empire has one thing going for it that I loved.
What?
Endo Calrissian.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this is where the real comparison comes now. Sequels versus prequels, which is better? Now, I think.
Wait, did we get Buck Grimes' opinion, or?
I think we did.
Did we?
Yeah.
Kind of, sort of.
Oh.
Sorry, mate. Go on. Get your words in, mate.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
What does your missus have to say?
Are we still talking about the comparison of originals versus sequels?
Yes.
Yeah.
I go with the originals. I would go with the originals. I can't remember who it was that touched on this. I liked a lot of the characters in the sequels. I liked the individual characters. I liked how they were portrayed. They had chemistry and everything. It's just the overall storylines were shit. Or they bounced around everywhere. Or, like I said, I didn't disagree with the casino scene. It was just out of place. It didn't need to be in the movie that it was in. But yeah, it's like I have things about, it's like the originals that I could sit there and, harp on, but I do prefer the originals. It's slightly tainted by nostalgia, but it's they just had a better feel just overall, because like any flaws in the plot that I could point out were forgivable just because of how everything was carried out. But if you're going to go with prequels versus sequels, I'd take the sequels over the prequels. The prequels annoyed the shit out of me. Because it's all hinging on the idea that Anakin turns evil, hinging on the fact that his mom is left back on slave planet, and then he finds out that she dies horribly. And I'm like, really? The Jedi live in a friggin' palace. They know that he's terrified for his mother, and you're telling me that you couldn't like send someone there with the coin to buy her, set her up on a bucolic little planet with some farmland, and go, there, she's safe, nothing can hurt her anymore, she's set for life.
She was fine though, Mrs. Buck Crimes, but she got kidnapped by the fucking sand people. She was bought by Owen Lars's dad, remember?
I know that she was fine. We know that she was fine, but you know, it's like, but the whole start of it was hinging on. Like,
I agree.
5-year-old Anakin, you know, and Yoda's like, afraid for your mother, you are, and it's like, okay, so put her in a place where he can't be afraid for her.
Yeah.
The sand is coarse, and it gets everywhere.
I hate sand.
I hate sand so much.
Look, I am no defender of the prequels, other than when it comes to being compared to the sequels. Now, I think the prequels are absolutely shit, and when it comes to the acting, and there were a few saving graces, but those few saving graces, in my opinion, is what makes it better than the sequels. Some of the actors, for a start, some of the performances. Ewan McGregor, without doubt, the greatest person to ever be considered to be a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. He pulled it off magnificently, so much so that you can easily, you could just easily imagine that's what he would be like. You know,
complained about him when the movie first came out in '99.
Sorry,
see, I love how these rose-tinted glasses of nostalgia, like 10, 15 years later.
No, hold on. You know, in 1999, that film was shit, but the best thing about it was the lightsaber fight. Even Darth Maul was very popular. He's super popular, more popular than some of the fucking dickheads that have come out of the sequels. The villains Darth Maul said fuck all, got cut in half. Yeah, he was way more popular than people like Captain Phasma and who else? I don't know. No, there's no other real bad guys. What, the Knights of Ren? Please, they're bollocks. You know what I mean? Compared to people like Count Dooku, much better than any of the villains in the sequels. Far better. General Grievous, far better than those guys.
General Kenobi.
You know what I mean? Far better, much more memorable. And I was telling, I'm not sure if you can't have seen, what do you call it? What if videos regarding Star Wars? What if Palpatine was a Jedi? What if Anakin Skywalker never stopped Mace Windu from killing Palpatine? What if Obi-Wan Kenobi survived against Maul and Ben Kenobi died instead? You know, all these what if scenarios. There's tons of them for the prequel, tons of them for the fucking original trilogy. There's not many what if scenarios for the fucking sequel trilogy. You know why? Because the sequel trilogy is shit and it lacks imagination. There's no real what if ideas people can come up with. Whilst there's so many directions the prequels could have gone, and people would like to know what it would have been like, which is why they come up with these what if ideas. Memorable characters, way more. You know, people like Mace Windu, way more memorable than the dickheads in the sequels. You know, these guys will be forgotten. You know, but the prequel guys are much better. What's his face? Boba Fett's dad, Jango Fett, a much more memorable character than the dickheads in the sequels. You know, you got honestly think about it. When it comes to the main villains, who have we got? Captain Phasma, Kylo Ren, Snoke. Snoke is, in my opinion, was fantastic. Hux is not that memorable. You know what I mean?
I liked Hux. I mean, I think he got treated.
He's basically a Nazi. He is basically a Nazi.
They're all Nazis here, but the point is, compared them to the guys in the prequels, they can't hold a candle to them. You know, you're telling me Darth Maul is worse than most of the villains in the sequels? Of course not. Darth Maul fucking trounces them. He was so popular. He said fuck all, but it was so popular they're bringing him back from the dead. So come on. When it comes to what's better, the prequels, hands down. I'm willing to put my Johnson on the table for this fucking thing.
Okay, I got three words that disagree with you.
Yeah.
Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, of course, Jar Jar Binks is shit.
Because do you know what? I'll start doing it. Oh, sir, you sir. Just stop it. You know, that entire character was pointless and annoying. And listen, every time he turns up, it's literally like a racist Muppet show.
I know you're making great points. I totally agree with you. I'm not fucking defending this. It's shit. But when it comes to fucking what's more memorable, when it comes to what's better, when it comes to the characters compared to those characters, Yeah, the better ones are in the prequels, mate. They're much better. The fighting scenes are much better in the prequels. There's more originality, even though it's not done maybe to our taste. There's more originality in the prequels when it comes to how shit got together to make this fucking empire in the first place than the fucking sequels. You know, they offer nothing when it comes to originality. At least the prequels gave it a shot. Failed miserably, as far as I'm concerned, but still gave it a shot. There's no originality in the sequels at all, and the characters are bland as fuck. You know, memorable characters in the fucking prequels. People we want to see more about. No one gives a fuck about Captain Phasma's backstory. Fuck's sake. Well, you guys know, mate. I don't know. No offense. Sorry, I apologize, but that's just my opinion. Cousin Cheeto, have you given an opinion yet? Or you prefer
on the sequels versus the prequels?
Yeah.
I mean, if I could get a word in, maybe.
I apologize. I'll shut my mouth now. It feels like a 3-on-1 here. Maybe 4-on-1 with Leia.
Listen, this is like 4 podcasts in one.
Yeah,
I mean, if you wanted to do a podcast on the sequels versus the prequels and the original versus, dude, this would have been, we could have done hour-long podcasts on this. All right, so but since we're here now, let's do it. Honestly, the thing is that I utterly hate episode 2. The only good thing about episode 2 is I think the Colosseum scene with all the Jedi and the Separatists and that whole war scene, I think that's okay. Anakin, atrocious. Obi-Wan's also kind of a saving grace there. But Dooku got, I don't want to say wasted, but he was pretty bad. And just there were so many things. So the one thing is that I didn't hate any of the sequel movies as much as I hate episode 2. So I have to go with the sequels over the prequels only because of that. Because I actually like, and I know I'm going to get shit, but I don't give a fuck. I like the Phantom Menace. I mean, granted, you can tell that I'm a Trekkie because I mean, it's a politics movie. So of course the Trek fans got to like that one. But, I like
to back you up on that one too, by the way. That's one of the reasons why I liked the Phantom Menace is because it was pretty political.
Well, and it's also not like it's not, there's no planet-ending device. There's no, I mean, yeah, were there some really annoying things? Jar Jar was annoying, but did he break the movie for me? No. Maul, honestly, here's if you want a character to get over, you have as little information and you have them say as little as possible in a movie, because then the fans get their fan theories rolling. Because look, the same thing with Maul happened with the same thing with Boba Fett happened with Maul. He didn't say shit. He barely said shit. All he did was showing up for a couple minutes and did a good fight. And same thing happened with Boba Fett in Empire and Return of the Jedi. He barely had any lines. He just showed up. He took Han. He was in that fight scene for 5 seconds, got ate by a Sarlacc. I mean, that's kind of Phasma, because remember, although Phasma was underutilized in the movies, Phasma was the one that everybody's like, oh, she's cool looking. She's blah, blah, blah. Now we know retrospectively she sucks ass, but I mean, like, that's kind of the route they went with Phasma. And it's like, I don't understand the love for, like, Boba Fett. Like, Phasma, when they said Boba
by
Fett,
the way, Phasma did speak a lot. Phasma wasn't a fucking quiet person. She was vocal.
Yeah, okay. But she didn't have a lot of screen time.
But you kind of got an idea of what she was because she was vocal. So there was a character there. They weren't that mysterious. They were just your stereotypical authoritarian figure to a degree. What are you doing? Very suspicious of everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's a Nazi ruler. So, I mean, you're suspicious of everybody.
Totally.
Or not a Nazi ruler, but a Nazi commander. Okay, so...
Nazi,
but and Revenge of the Sith, I really like that movie. That's one of my favorites. I liked Anakin's turn to Darth Vader. I think that it could have been done better, but I think it was fine. The lightsaber fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin on the planet was amazing on Mustafar. I don't know. I mean, the as I said, I mean, I have to choose the sequels only because I didn't hate any movie in the sequel trilogy as much as I hate episode 2. But at the same time, it's like, I would watch any of these movies. I mean, I would watch either the sequels or the prequels before I would watch the original trilogy again. The only reason why I'd watch the original trilogy again is for the remastered effects of the space battles, because I think those were the CGI effects of the of the space battles were good. And everyone's like, "Oh, you ruined the movie." I'm like, "Yes, let me watch this model fly around Star Trek Enterprise style." You know, like they didn't change any of the actors. They just changed the CGI and they just put it in there. It's like I don't think they went crazy with it. I think they just touched it up and took the models out and made CGI renderings of it.
But I would say that the main thing that annoyed everybody, and again, I hate to come across as a Star Wars nerd, well, I am, but it comes down to 4 words, which is hand shot first. Greedo didn't shoot first, hand shot first, because in the original scene, Hardy's got his gun underneath the table. Greedo's got his gun there. He shoots him, and he just goes down. But in the remastered, Greedo shoots first, and basically,
he does a little Indian neck dodge. Yeah, like
he just dodges it. And it's like no, like the thing is that Han is not a quote unquote typical good guy. He's like he's chaotic good. He's good. He's good to a point. Becomes good later. That's the whole point. But the thing is,
he's not a fucking idiot. Basically, he knows what it's like to be around other criminals, and he deals with it accordingly. I mean, he's not a mass murderer or goes around shooting people willy nilly, does he? He just knows he can handle himself.
But again, I'm going to make the point of why the prequels are terrible, or worse than the sequels. Do you know the starting bits of Star Wars where they have the text that goes up like into the book? The Phantom Menace has the worst text of all time because it's something along the lines of in the year of this thing, the tax wars and the blockade to stop this. It's like, what is this, Star Wars, or is this somebody's like tax returns that I'm talking about? It's awful. Like I'm doing. Like,
I agree. Look, boss man. But you know, when it comes to the scroll's not the whole movie; it's just a scroll. And you know, the Rise of Skywalker had just a stupid one as well. When it came to like, you know, the dead return or the dead speak and some shit like that, Palpatine's back. Like, what the fuck? You know, I mean, where he just came out of nowhere. You know, and that's the thing. That's the thing, boss man. I'm doing comparisons. You're just saying this is shit. I want you to compare why it's shit to whatever the sequels have, and I'm doing that, mate. Yeah, you can go on about Jar Jar Binks. I agree with you. He is shit. But is there something to compare him with in the prequel? Possibly General Hux, you know, or that dickhead slave person, you know, in the first movie, you know, and all these other stupid characters were moving about. BB-8, a poor man's fucking R2D2, who should never have got as much screen time as R2D2. And you know what? Shockingly, R2D2 criminally was hardly used in the sequels. Fuck that. You know what I mean? One of the best characters in Star Wars, hardly used in the sequels, and they use BB-8 over him. So these are the things, you know, which are in the prequels that the sequels did wrong, in my opinion, and they brought in characters they didn't need. They should have fucking just had R2D2 in it. Fuck BB-8, he should never have been created. You know, these sort of things, you know, that should have been done instead. This is just my opinion, though. Obviously, no one has to agree.
Well, here, I'm going to read really quick the opening crawl from A New Hope, because this tracks exactly like The Phantom Menace. It is a period of civil war. Rebel spaceships striking from a hidden base have won their first victory against the evil Galactic Empire. During the battle, Rebel spies manage to steal secret plans from the Empire's ultimate weapon, the Death Star, an armored space station with the power to destroy an entire planet. Pursued by the Empire's sinister agents, Princess Leia races home aboard her starship custodian of the stolen plans that can save her people and restore freedom to the galaxy. That almost tracks exactly like Episode 1's crawl, except for the mention of a planet-destroying Death Star. Because they're talking about galactic turmoil and all this other stuff. Like, I mean, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah. And then, you know what? A lot of people like to jerk off over the opening crawl. Never give a flying fuck about it. It is interesting to read, and it was a what the fuck moment when I read the one for Rise of Skywalker. Like, what the fuck is this? You know, but I already knew about Palpatine coming back anyway. But the way it began, it was like it felt like a news report, not like a proper scroll. But anyway, anyone got any more things to say before we wrap things up? We've been going on for almost 2 hours here.
Nope.
Mrs. and Mrs. Buck Crimes?
Nope, we're good. As far as I know, we're good.
I'm good. Thanks for letting me chime in.
No problem. Anytime, sweetheart. Cousin Cheeto?
No, I'm good. I mean, you know,
Well, look,
Poe Dameron for life, dog.
well, we do these podcasts every week. We had a few viewers today. I'm quite happy about that. So that's pretty cool. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on Nerd Nation. Look for us on Facebook, Nerd Nation. If you want to know which Nerd Nation it is, look at the logo for this YouTube channel and you'll see it as well on
Link it in the
Facebook.
description.
And there's a link in the description too. We're also going to be doing podcasts next week, possibly on Star Trek or any other nerd type of shit. So keep an eye out for us for that. God, I'm getting all tongue twisted here. And if any breaking news happens, we'll be the first on the scenes if we think it's worth our fucking time. Yeah, okay. So, Boss Man, thank you very much for joining us. Buck Crimes and Mrs. Buck Crimes, thank you very much for having us. You two are the heart to heart of this channel. And
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Cousin Cheeto, it's always been a pleasure. And to everyone out there, thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day. And I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.